Hi everybody, a really warm welcome to my channel, Nelly the Narcissist, and thank you so much for joining today. Now my name isn't actually Nelly, I'm not a narcissist, but Nelly the Narcissist is the face of my YouTube channel because I do a whole world of comedy skits to raise awareness about narcissistic abuse, and I hear from subscribers how much the comedy helps you to have a really good laugh, which is all part of the healing process, and this is what I want to also offer on this channel. And I make these podcasts as well to dive deep into the psychology, but also the spirituality of NPD and narcissistic abuse, because I do believe that narcissism is also a spiritual condition. It's not just a personality disorder. Today I want to look at this topic of romantic relationships and the superficiality of them, and how victims are set up in the beginning for a love story like no other. And then they come to realize that actually everyone is totally expendable to a narcissist. So this is the podcast topic that we're going to be discussing today. And at the very end, if you stick around, I'm going to be sharing with you the very first comedy skit of 2025 that's going to be illustrating everything that we're going to be talking about today. So getting back to this topic of the superficiality of narcissistic relationships, the comedy skit that I've made that you're going to see later, it reveals the expendability of everyone that is in a relationship with a narcissist. I find it really helpful to read the definition of that word from the dictionary. Now, expendable means of little significance and therefore able to be abandoned or destroyed. And I think that we can use the word expendable very well in a narcissistic context, because no matter how special they make you feel at the very start, and they can really go over the top, but it can feel so amazing, and you don't doubt for a second how special you are and how much you mean to them. They convey it through their words and their actions in the beginning, but we've got no idea that narcissistic relationships have got several stages and are cyclical. Narcissistic relationships are rarely in a straight line. They're not linear. They move in loops and cycles. Yes, there is a start. Yes, there is an end. But the start can start again, and the end can end again, and it can go on and on. And if you're not careful, and if you don't learn about NPD, then those that stay in the dark can get caught on the merry-go-round of the narcissistic abuse cycle. Now, if you've been through the narcissistic abuse cycle at least once, as most of you have, then you will know that the person that the narcissist presents themselves to be at the very start of the relationship is totally different to who they actually are at the end of the relationship. And why is this? Because the person that they present themselves to be at the start of the relationship is fake. And if you were a fly on the wall and you got to see yourself in third person sitting there with the narcissist at the very start of the relationship, you would likely need a vomit bucket, because you would see how disgustingly fake the narcissist was. At the start, you're looking at the narcissist and the perceived relationship that you're having or that you're going to have as a love story and a real relationship, a real connection of two people, two individuals that are coming together for a mutual benefit to love and enhance the life of one another. You don't actually know that the narcissist looks at you very differently. They're looking at everyone as a source of supply, a benefit, a service, an opportunity, an advantage. They're looking at what they're going to get from you, what you're going to do for them. They're not thinking about what they're going to do for you. They're not thinking about anything to do with giving you anything. They're just thinking about how can they parasite off of you? What can they take from you? You're there to supply the narcissist. It's not to have any benefits yourself. You're there to serve. You won't be served. But of course, at the very start, the narcissist will want you to think that whatever they're leading you into is going to be of benefit to you, is going to be magical and marvelous. It's the love story, your soulmates, your twin flames, you're designed and destined to be together. They feed you this fantasy. And a favorite, of course, of the narcissist is to future fake. Now, the future faking is really amazing because it's a delusion that maybe or maybe not the narcissist wants to believe. With some targets, this might actually be the case, and with others, it's just a big fat lie just to get somebody that the narcissist considers to be really beneficial to sign up for the relationship. But whatever the case, somewhere within the narcissist, they know that the moment the relationship starts, you might as well just start a clock, because There's a time limit and there's an expiry date of every single relationship. And when I say time limit, I mean more time bomb, because the narcissist is a time bomb. And the narcissistic relationship is basically going to explode at some point. I mean, you could say that there's an expiry date for every single relationship. And yes, this is true, although some people do stay together for all of their lives. But the difference is the intention from the start. A healthy person isn't entering the relationship with the goal of using and abusing and sucking the other person dry. The narcissist knows that when you tick enough of their boxes of being good supply, then the green light is activated and they do everything to seduce you into their trap. They want to get you to believe that this is love, this is mutual, this is a relationship, this is what they need to do to get you to come in. And then you enter the relationship and you feel at the start pretty loved, comfortable enough. I'd say comfortable enough because there's always red flags. On the surface, it kind of feels like a fairy tale romance because the narcissist shows up as everything that you could have ever possibly desired, because they're mirroring you. And if the narcissist is also really attractive and intelligent and they're shining such a strong love beam in your direction, you feel like such a special individual. It's quite rare to have that level of intensity and rush at the start of a new relationship because narcissists, they don't want to give you time to think. That's why it's called a love bomb. You feel like you're being invaded. It does make you feel really special, but at the same time, it is disconcerting, and comment below if you know what I mean. But once you're in their trap and that initial sparkle has worn off, and because the relationship isn't new anymore and they've got you, you're not giving them as much supply in their narcissistic mind. So they begin to devalue you. And the longer that you stay, usually the worse that this gets, the worse the abuse. And eventually, when they come to discard, they turn really nasty and you feel disposed of. You see, the narcissist needs to split people. So you're either all good or you're not all good, you're all bad. And you can become all bad when you say no to their demands or wishes or expectations. When you start trying to assert some autonomy or ask to receive some compassion or fairness or kindness. And when you don't like the abuse and you start saying no more often, that's when the narcissist decides that you're all bad. Because remember the number one rule of the narcissist relationship, you're meant to serve the narcissist, you're meant to fall in line. You're not meant to think for yourself or have needs of your own. You're not meant to say no. You're there for the narcissist's needs. You're just a supply source. So you're meant to act like a supply source. But people naturally think, again, that they're in a relationship. And when they start acting like they are half of the equation and they have feelings and needs of their own, the narcissist gets really frustrated. When they are not giving the narcissist enough narcissistic supply, services, benefits, when they are done, the narcissist needs new supply. At the very start of new relationships, the narcissist is receiving sufficient levels of narcissistic supply from a supply source. But as the relationship naturally becomes older, the sparkle starts to wear off. The narcissistic supply starts to diminish. And then the narcissist starts to find fault within you because you're no longer giving them the level of narcissistic supply that they need, that they expected from you, that they expect you to continue. And when you stop falling in line with all of their demands, and God help you if you say no, or if you have needs and wishes and an independent mind of your own. And then the narcissist starts to see you as somebody really bad and they start their devaluation process. If the narcissist also has psychopathy or a dark personality type where they have Machiavellianism, then they can be even more cruelly calculated. They can idealize somebody just because they see that that person has got something that narcissist wants to take from them, whether it's financial or it's a social circle, whatever it is that narcissist wants to get into. Or they can need to use the person for something very specific for a certain amount of time. And once they've achieved their goal and that person isn't of use anymore, the job's done. That's the expiry date. And the other person involved will likely be stunned because they're going to see the direct correlation between, okay, the narcissist claimed to love me. The narcissist was very kind and cute and enjoyable company up until the moment that they got that from me, up until the moment that I did this for them. And then the real them was revealed and I got to see somebody that was incredibly disturbing. Not all narcissists are like this, but some are, and this can be male or female. Don't get caught up on the genders. But I also want to make you aware that even when they do this to somebody, and it's very clear how that other person was used and discarded once their mission was complete, if they perceive that that person still has something of benefit to them, they have the audacity to try to recycle them and come back. Because remember, narcissists will never truly look at themselves or what they do. Instead, they like to reframe it and, consider themselves as a good person. And they try to reframe it also to other people to get them to believe that actually it wasn't so bad after all. Narcissistic relationships, they follow very predictable patterns. And if you were a fly on the wall and you could have seen and witnessed other relationships the narcissist had throughout their life, then you're going to see very clearly the pattern, and you'll see very clearly the con. Who they represent at the start of the relationship has nothing to do with who they actually are and who you're actually going to see at the end. It's a stark contrast. The beginning and the end, totally different. And it makes you want to throw up when you see the narcissist idolizing somebody else, because it's so sickly superficial and it's disgustingly fake. And that it doesn't last long before everything changes and you can literally predict what's coming next. So there's an expiry date of every single narcissistic relationship, and this can be based upon, various factors, including, of course, first, how long it takes a narcissist to extract from you whatever they wanted to or all that they can from you. Number 2 is when you become low on supply, because remember, you're with them and they get bored of old toys extremely quickly and they need a new one. Or when you're in the relationship and you start to wake up and you become dissatisfied with the abuse that you're getting. When the narcissist idealization is finished, that's when the real them obviously will start slowly being revealed. That's when the negativity starts overflowing. And most people won't be able to stand with that, or will figure out that they're being used. But the ones that can stand with that will have a longer relationship with the narcissist, unless the narcissist discards them. But I suppose there are 2 expiry dates taking place within narcissistic relationships. One is your own, because you're expendable as everyone else to a narcissist. You're an object to be used and picked up and played with and shelved when they want. But the other expiry date is also how long the narcissist can keep up their act, because it takes a lot of energy to keep that mask on. When they put so much energy into people that they're targeting and it doesn't lead to a return on their investment in their mind, they become really angry. And that's when you can see the fastest switch from Jekyll to Hyde. So the overall expiry on the relationship is how long the whole thing takes before it blows up, because the narcissist blows up every relationship. It's a time bomb, and it can be set the moment that someone sets foot inside the relationship with a narcissist. The trouble is, nobody knows when they get involved with a narcissist that they're expendable. And they don't know that time is ticking before the narcissist destroys and tries to annihilate them, and before the narcissist reveals who they really are. They do this in every single relationship, this abuse cycle. And if you can put up with it, if you can put up with them unmasked and you don't abandon them and walk out, then you're going to be considered a real keeper. But this isn't to be worn as a medal or badge of honor, like I said in my previous video. If you are resistant to their abuse, you're going to get really damaged, because they desire to destroy you, and they do a really good job of it. So the longer that you stay with them, the harder it is to get out. And I have so much respect for anybody that's done these relationships with narcissists for the long term and had the strength to leave. That's incredible, because leaving a narcissistic relationship, once you've been suckered in and they've done all of the tactics on you, leaving a narcissist is, I believe, the hardest thing that anybody will ever have to do. Psychologically, the narcissist has arrested childhood development, and most of them, as Professor Sam Vaknin tells us, are stuck around probably age 2. So imagine being back at kindergarten, and you were probably a bit older than a toddler, but if you were an early starter like myself, you used to have boyfriends or girlfriends in the playground, and you probably exchanged little love notes declaring how you wanted to marry them and be with them forever. And you may have even executed a wedding ceremony right there in the schoolyard. And then after you married them and you're so happy, you went to school the next day, you decided that you didn't like them anymore, somebody else caught your eye, and then you ran off with them. Now, you could say it's very superficial and it's fickle. Yes, but you're children. You haven't developed yet. You haven't developed the emotional depth or capacity to have these, real, lasting relationships and connections with people. The narcissist, albeit that they're not so innocent and they certainly aren't benign, they are, though, on that same kind of superficial level, I suppose that you could call it. They can't do real relationships. They can't connect. They can't do intimacy. And it's not even just a question of not being able to, but MPD, it's a brain damage. And I believe that it's much more than just a, personality disorder. I think it's a spiritual condition where they're not interested in developing the skills of relationships because they don't look upon anyone as anything other than a source of supply to serve them. Nobody's an individual outside of themselves. They believe that everyone exists purely for them and their purposes and their gains. And that's why it's impossible to have a relationship with them, because it's never a relationship. And narcissists are not interested in love. They can claim that they love you. They can look you directly in the eye and tell you that they're in love with you. But they don't know what love is. They don't want to know what love is. And they have no interest in it. Sadly, everyone comes to the realization that the emotional capacity of the narcissist is incredibly shallow. And no matter how much that they've said that they've loved you, people realize that the statements are incredibly superficial and subject to change at any given moment when you're not doing or behaving how the narcissist wants of you. When you aren't helpful, they have no space for you around. So very sadly, when we enter with so much stardust in our eyes in the hope for love with this incredible person, we don't get anything that we were promised. And we wake up to the realization of how expendable everybody is to them. So that's what I wanted to say in today's video, and I hope that it's been helpful. Just before the comedy skit comes, let me know your thoughts by leaving me a comment below, and help me out as always, like I said, by liking, sharing and subscribing if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, and I hope that you enjoy the comedy skit. My love, it's our 1 month anniversary. 4 whole weeks of loving you. My soulmate, my bliss, my world. Cheers to me. To us. Oh, yes. To us. Right now, Nelly, I can't imagine ever having life without you. I think I will love you forever. Love never dies. Never. Doesn't it? Not real love. No. That's reassuring. I could never not love you, Nelly. And I could never let anybody come between us. My love is unwavering and eternal. I'm sure that you feel the same. Yes, I do. I tell you every day, you're my soulmate, my hero. You're the one that I've been waiting for, my blessing. You're my love, and love never dies. Can't agree with you with that one. What? I've just known it to die quite frequently. But our love is different, Nelly. I will show you the real meaning of love. I promise you. Our love's forever, isn't it? Absolutely. Wait a second, let me check something. What are you doing, Nelly? I'm just looking at the code on your arm. What the hell is that? That's your expiry date. What do you mean? Obviously, you're not too clear about narcissists in relationships, right? Our love is forever, right until your expiry date. Best before December 2025. Meaning, that's your use by date. So I have until December 2025 to use you. What do you mean? Every person has an expiry. Everybody. We all, well, I don't, but everybody else expires. Expiry? What do you mean? Do you need me to spell it out? You're gonna go stale soon. What? You're gonna taste stale. I'll need some fresh supply. Actually, you're very long lasting. I'm not sure if I'm understanding. When you have passed your use by date, what use are you? But real love is forever, Nelly. It's very selfish of you saying that, Dan. You're asking me to continue with a stale supply. When you seem fresh again, maybe we can hang out. Come on, Dan, let's enjoy the moment. You never know what's around the corner. Well, we kind of do. But right now you're fresh, so let's live for today, Dan. I love you, Dan. And I love you forever. Because love never dies. cheers to us. I mean us.